Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe. Today we're going to review all 699 images that are out, and I will zip through the ones that I deem aren't very important. All right, so we're going to get started on that right now without wasting any more of your time. So at the beginning, there is an image here of an arboretum. Now, a friend of mine on Facebook sent me the actual log, or whatever you want to call this, the administrative information. It says on November 13th, 2022 at about 12:22 p.m. the Moscow Police Department requested Idaho State Police and investigations to assist with multiple homicides. And basically they were here at this arboretum, and it says on November 20th they received a tip that blood drops were located at the U of I Arboretum. When I arrived, MPD Sergeant John Lawrence and MPD Detective Danny Vargas were already at the scene. Sergeant Lawrence and Detective Vargas showed me multiple dried red-colored stains on rocks near the Leonard Holland kiosk. I photographed the stains and presumptively tested them with hemident. These stains were negative for the presence of blood, so absolutely irrelevant at all of these photographs right here. And not only that, Kohberger would never have been there that night. He was driving around in loops, went inside the house, killed Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Xander Kernodle at the, within a 6-minute window, I believe, and left at a high rate of speed and went nowhere near this, right? So all of these photographs are irrelevant at this point. Now, if you're a pro-burger, you're going to say, oh, they made it look like it wasn't blood. Of course that's blood. It does kind of look like blood, I'll admit. A little too red, I guess. I mean, it's just, and the way it spread was kind of odd. All right, so this is another image inside the house. We've seen this before, nothing different there. We've seen, I think some of these images we've seen. And this is obviously on the, looks like in the couch in the living room. They laid out some cards. We don't know whose they are. Maybe in the documents we could find, somebody had a Visa card or, specific type, and we might be able to figure it out, but it's irrelevant to the case. The cards here mean absolutely nothing. All right, and these vehicle images mean absolutely nothing at all. They have nothing to do with anything other than those are the vehicles that the victims drove. And apparently one of them might be like the brother of, Hunter Chapin, perhaps, who showed up later. I think he might have dropped the vehicle off the night before. And, when you look at that image right here, by the way, if you take a look at the map from above, that vehicle would have been parked, right near the front. So you're right here, and maybe the DoorDash driver, like I said in the video, parked right out here. And that's why you saw the light dim here as it was parked there. That makes some sense, right? It didn't want to, try to sneak by there or enter in. It just parked outside and walked to the front of the house, dropped off the DoorDash, and walked out. Interestingly, the GPS coordinates most likely show that it was dropped off at the back, but, it is what it is. She dropped it off at the front, Xander Kernodle picked it up, and we see evidence of that in the kitchen. Now we're just going to go through these quickly, and eventually we get to Kohberger's residence. There's another picture of the couch, and then this is inside Brian Kohberger's residence. All right, and some of these pictures are just totally irrelevant. Okay, a seat, yep, excellent. I go around, now there's a basketball hoop right there and a swing set. And this is Kohberger's apartment. He lives right here. And then if you rotate it around like that, you'll see the shadow of a basketball hoop right there. And that's exactly what this is, basketball hoop. And then there's a swing set right over there, which is perpendicular line, and there that is right there. So we're seeing an image right outside the back of his door into this basketball court. All right, and that's really, there's no meaning to that at all. It's just that's where it is. All right, and I'm just going to kind of skip through these. Now, we've been told that Brian Kohberger's got OCD. I mean, there isn't a lot of stuff in the house, that's for sure. But you would think the stuff that he did have, he would organize. Now, even just something like this isn't typically what you see with OCD people. You know, they would make sure everything was nice and lined up, not stuck over the top. I mean, every single place you go, you see stuff like that. Yeah, look at this. Just jamming papers into a drawer, you know, like a shelf in a closet. The spot below isn't much better. Let me see if let me zoom out a little bit here. All right. Yeah, I mean, just trash, you know, just throwing stuff around. No real organization to it.
That's what you think, Gray. He was highly organized, just in a sort of chaotic way,
said a pro-burger. All right, there you go. Right there. And we're just going to keep moving through these. Nothing, you know, I mean, maybe at some point some of these things were used for cleaning. Don't really know. There's a book called Criminal Justice right there. And then I think at one point they spread out all the books on the ground. And they're interesting books that he was reading. Here is a card he got, looks like a birthday card, both of your egos. So, you know, almost like somebody already realized there's something a little bit wrong with him. Don't know who sent that, but that's not his writing. I mean, it's just crazy. Now, there's a series of these. If you guys know what the hell these dates are and what possibly could be blacked out here, let me know. You know, but there's a whole bunch of these. These aren't, somebody said they're journals. I mean, I don't know. This just looks like a sheet of paper lying there, which is strange. You know, Brian C. Kohberger, 7/11/2022. And then there's something else below it that's blocked out. Is that a name of somebody he met that day? I guess we'll have to find that out. But I mean, it sucks that it's blacked out. It'd be cool if they had a little side note saying a person's name. We don't know what that is. All right, let me rotate it back. So 1, 2, 3. Go down. Silverware. You know, none of this stuff I find interesting at all. Now look at that. Is that something an OCD person would do? Have a drawer with, like, you know, crumbs in it, brown sugar with little chunks sitting around. See, my theory is Brian Kohberger never had OCD, and nor does any of his family members say that he had OCD. What Brian Kohberger had is a case of, let me cover up why I was in the kitchen separating the trash disease. You know, that's what he was doing. I've got to pretend now that I'm really OCD to explain why I was sitting there in the kitchen separating trash. Garbage. All right, we're going to keep going through these. Not sure what the interest in the oven was. Why we need to see the ingredients in olive oil. I mean, that's one bored photographer, I can tell you that.
Gray, you just never know what you might need.
Well, that's true. You pretty much have to film every single thing in the house. You know, while I was going through this, I was trying to find a, you know, triangular object that maybe he was holding. I'm sure whatever he brought into the crime scene is long gone at this point. I don't think he took anything home with him that he was wearing during the night of the crime. And here's the refrigerator. Now, the freezer, that looks sort of organized, you know, the freezer portion. But in here, he just kind of tossed stuff in there. Look at the little ketchup on its side there.
Well, Gray, he did that on purpose so he could get the ketchup out quickly,
said the pro-burger. All right, and then here we go. Let's just start here. I mean, this is pretty crazy, right? Charged. Why the innocent plead guilty and the guilty go free. So it's interesting. Like, what is his mindset here? I mean, he obviously had these books. You know, we don't know when he purchased those, but he purchased them before he was arrested. Let's put it that way. And then it talks about some of it's like the anti-death penalty and so forth. And that's really interesting in context with his mother's post on, when you go to newspapers.com, you type in Mary Ann with a space in there, Kohberger. This is in New York. She wrote in a comment section. She said, perhaps one of the saddest commentaries on mankind was evident during the execution of Theodore Bundy. While no sane, compassionate individual would excuse the atrocities committed by this man, her son, neither would any sane individual applaud the passing of his funeral hearse. What have we become? Is the taking of a human life acceptable when the state takes responsibility for it? Well, I think, people are cheering because a monster was killed, just like they would have cheered after your son would have been executed. And that might deter other people from killing in the future, realizing that people are clapping and laughing at them as they're being wheeled away in a hearse. Okay? So I don't really care what your opinion is, Marianne. It's an idiotic opinion. All right, so here we go. We're going to go through these. I mean, we did some... using ChatGPT last night, it broke down some of the meaning, the synopsis of these books here. And then there's a lot of papers he wrote, and he got really bad grades on them. He just kind of bloviated, saying nothing. And, he gets, B plus to C's on these things. Now, you would think a doctoral student would get much better grades than that. I mean, this guy's even a teacher's assistant. Looks like he got a pretty good one on that. That was a good one. Let's see what it said as the writing at the bottom. Very good discussion of the issue. Suggested changes. So there's a few changes they suggested in there. Okay. And see, these are just reviews of books, so I don't know how interesting. You're not getting an insight. Maybe the way he analyzes it, you might get an insight into it. And see that one, he got a 90, just like A minus, B plus, something like that. I don't think Kohberger is as smart as anybody, everybody seems to think he is. I think he thinks he is because he talks a lot and thinks he's got really this amazing insight into these topics, and it's just, it doesn't, Yeah. So he got another 90 right there. And I'm just going to zip through these because, we're not going to sit here and read all these. Not sure why some of them are upside down. Got an 87 on that one. He was probably used to getting these good grades by a lazy teacher over there in, DeSales. So when he went here, he was expecting to get away with the same, I'm being graded by the volume. Like, how much does it weigh, my paper? And now they're actually reading it for the content, and he just, wasn't doing well. All right. Because somebody actually took the time to read what he was saying. What did he get on that one? Oh, 95. All right. Let's see. So maybe there were some topics that he was interested in. I think he would just sort of do a glance at it and then do a long little dissertation pretending he was, pick a little side topic and really dig into it, missing the main points. I guess they thought maybe that was a stain of some sort. There's the closet. What a creepy dude, man. I wonder if this is the shirt he was wearing, or maybe in that image. I don't know. We'll have to check that out. I guess we can look at it right there. Nah, it doesn't look like the collar. Well, nah. Doesn't look like the collar's the same. Just kind of keep going through these. I bet you as soon as they arrested him, a lot of this stuff became irrelevant to even police officers. I'm sure they might show these pictures of what it looked like. Now, this is in the bathroom, right? So, we're in the bathroom, and let's just see if we can get to an angle where we're looking at, there it is. So that shot right there, if you take Kohberger's selfie image, you know, right there is this same spot, and then you can see just above his head there, this looks like. I think. It's hard to tell. No, maybe not. I don't think you can see that. It's above his head. The angle, you're just missing the bar on the top there. Unless it's in the picture. Okay, there it is. Okay. I have to scroll up a little bit. There it is. So there's the bar above his head. And now in this picture, it's interesting because, you know, people say the shower curtain and the maybe the liner is missing. But if you look at this right there, see how it doesn't go straight down and it curves and then it kind of comes back in again? A wall wouldn't do that, right? So this is either, I believe this is probably like the cloth outer lining, and maybe the plastic inner shower curtain is missing. We don't know, but it's not in this picture. There is no shower curtain on this picture here. And this image would have been taken from sort of behind here off to the, I'm not sure why there is letting me click around on images like that, but off to the right. So I think this is the shower right there, and just inside there is that same shot we just saw. There's the floor. So he was probably standing right where the person in this picture is standing when they took that selfie. And it appears that he's right-handed because of, in the selfie image, we now know that the orientation of the room, it is correct in the selfie, so that means he took the photo with his right hand. All right, so let's take a look at that again. So remember a minute ago I was just showing you that everything's oriented the same. So that means this is correct, this image here. And so that means he's holding the camera with his right hand, and this is his left hand right there. Does that mean he's right-handed? Could. I mean, most people don't use their offhand when they're using their cell phone to take pictures. All right, this is inside the house. I mean, the apartment still. Just, you know, lots of mundane photographs that aren't really going to be related to anything. And I think he made absolute sure that nothing got transported back to his apartment. Now, maybe there are a hair or two here and there, and they did take pictures of specific hairs they found in different locations. And I think they come up later, or we've already skipped through them. But in some of the photographs, if you just stop the video, they're kind of zoomed in on a hair, a fiber. Or in the kitchen, you know, I'm just zipping through this stuff. I mean, you can always just pause it and look around if you feel like it, but I don't think any of this stuff is, you know, very valuable here. Yeah, especially we're just trying to back engineer what happened at the crime, and none of this stuff here is, you know, incredibly useful for that. It's interesting, though, seeing how sparse his apartment is. Obviously, he was going back there, though. In one of these coming up shots, he's got his whole computer system there. So he definitely planned on coming back. This is just what his apartment looked like. Weirdly. I mean, it's really pretty strange. So this is his bedroom coming up. And then there's the computer. And then somebody in the comments section astutely noticed that the mouse is on the right-hand side there, and that would support him being right-handed again.
Gray, maybe he's ambidextrous. Have you ever heard of that?
Said the pro burger. Sure, Gray. Sure. I have heard that. Wow. And the reason I do these imitations is that's exactly what I see all the time. Something that is incredibly less likely they throw out as a possibility. Then you have to agree that it's possible. And then they jump on that. Oh, see, it's possible then. It's real. So it's a pretty nice computer system. I think I had that exact same speaker system at one point, Logitech. I don't know where that is currently, though. I think I might have gave it to one of my kids. All right, so there is a... now, that's his bed. Pretty basic. Just gonna zip through these. These are all the images. I'm not sure. I guess they're looking at this little crack here. For some reason, that crack was really a big deal. 5 photographs. Yeah, there's the computer again. Now, the thing is I bet you he did not put anything on here, although I wonder if this is one of the computer that he took some countermeasures with. But it's interesting that he would leave it there. It seems like he would probably make sure that anything he left behind wouldn't have anything on it. He's taking his laptop with him. But isn't this crazy? Like, he hadn't been here in 2 or 3 weeks. So this is what it looked like as they walked in. So you got to imagine some of the clothes he took with him, because he's going to be in Pennsylvania for a while. Yeah, we're back to that again. Man. Back to some more papers. You got an 80 on that one. Pretty bad. Let's see. Intro does not clearly introduce the book. You jump into analysis without context. Your discussion of... Let's see. I can't even read what that says. It's fine, but it's not really connected to the contents of the book. See? That's what I'm saying. I don't even think he read these books. Yeah, I think he just was like, yeah. He didn't give a damn. He was there to kill. He spent all of his time focused in on the killing. You know, what day it was going to be. He'd spend all the evenings and he'd pretend. I mean, it's just crazy, you know. I mean, he got a great opportunity to do something worthwhile in his life with a doctoral degree, and maybe could have made something of himself, but his urges were too strong. He just couldn't control himself. Absolute nut job.
Gray, he didn't even do it. That was a cop car driving around. Gray.
Yeah, well, Kohberger admitted it was his car. You get it? All right, so these are some target orders. I know some of you hate when I do those voices, but that's what I picture people sounding like. I mean, these people are crazy loons. All right? So I'm just going to zip through these. Graduate school, graduate school. And then, look at, here's another one of these. Isn't that weird? So maybe that is inside of a journal and he ripped out the page, but now we've got August 18th, 2022, Brian Kohberger, and then something is blacked out there. So what is that? I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? And I think, let's see, is that the same one? Notice how he has a space in here, though, right? Like Brian Kohberger. So I think that's the same image, yeah. And then here's one from, so that one was, wow, okay, so 8/18/2022. This is pretty nuts, you gotta admit. So these are, let me go, I'm going back up again. So let's see, we've got 8/17/2022. And then he started to write one there, and then he stopped, and then he started to write, like, these are things he was going to do in the future, maybe? And then there's 8/18. And let's see. And so this is like total Kohberger speak. A pattern that emerges was that, in general, members of our cohort liked activities that involved the outdoors, or as well as discussing topics, though not explicitly stated, and instead impartially communicated. I don't know if that's what that word is. Cohort members enjoyed communicating their thoughts and perspectives. Further, it seems that others' interest seems to coincide in a manner and suggest influences. Something one person stated, their love of nature, and others followed along. And he comes up with this crazy little diagram here. Kohberger seems like one of those guys that would show up to a bar, sit next to somebody and be like, well, the relative propensity of not only the collusion aspects of the forethoughtness involving the relationship between symbiotic synthesis of the correlated factors would come up with a theory that might actually correlate inversely to not only what you thought, but what I thought. And it made absolutely no sense at all, but the person listening thought they sounded so much smarter than them that they didn't even question it. All right? That's what he seems like, because that's exactly what this crap is right here. Right? And I'm telling you, what I just said absolutely meant nothing. But while listening to it, you might have went, wow! No, Gray, we didn't do that. So these are different receipts here. These are all those books, charge. And this book right here, Why the Innocent Plead Guilty and the Guilty Go Free. That's going to be the Kohberger Nutjob's mantra. See, he knew he was going to have to plead guilty. And he's innocent, everybody. Right, with no chance of appeal. Yeah, he didn't quite go for the Alford plea here. Let's see. Mass incarceration on trial. Another book. I'm surprised they're not using red. These things would look like... oh, God. Man, what is he putting in these? That's what these redactions are really depressing. Yeah, that looks like an OCD shelf there, doesn't it? He's just totally full of crap. Guess that's a glove here. His cool Kohberger sunglasses. That's probably when he was trying to be one of the other serial killers out there. Yeah. Different receipts here. Different, a lot of them are just food and things like that. Sticky rice over here. Men's furnishing. Yeah, kind of wonder if that's what the shirt that he was wearing, if that was new, that he purchased, more recently and then was wearing it. That'd be kind of stupid, though, again. All right, we're on 541 now. And this is bear spray here. I mean, that's sort of interesting, right? Bear attack deterrent. Did he have that with him? He just never had to use it? I mean, that would put down any human. I mean, I think it's, I don't know if it's like pepper spray or something. Yeah, back inside the house. See, these are, so right there they're measuring something, and I don't know if there's like a little hair or something on that piece of paper there. It's hard to say what they're measuring. Alright, so there's a little mark there that they thought maybe was blood to test it. And then right there, there's a little fiber right here. That's in the bathroom. There's a little marker here. And maybe they're trying to figure out what that smudge is, or there's even a little hair that's curving right in that spot. Right there. There's a better shot of it. You can kind of see it right there. And there's something more right there as well. And then I guess I check the drain to see if they can find any fibers. Pretty good idea. And that's when they move the keyboard away. Looks like they're finding more fibers. There's a hair there. Obviously they tested all these things. Looks like there might be something right there on the pillow. Yep, they put a marker on that. And obviously they would test that. I mean, if any of these tests referred back to the 1122 King Road, any kind of fiber, I mean, that would have been huge. We haven't heard that, though. And it looks like they cut those out of the pillow there. Oops. Go that way. And that's the under part of the bed. And now they're taking sheets off. They're noticing different stains on the bed. So they're probably going to cut those out as well. They're looking at the computer. Maybe the filter in the computer might have something. I'm sure they checked the contents of the vacuum cleaner. Probably went through that as well. Probably even the bristles there as they were showing. There's the refrigerator. Light switch back in the corner. Not sure what those looks like, droplets there. We're on 627 now. It's behind the stove. I mean, they're really getting... I mean, they had to probably look around for areas he might store something. And now we're over at his office. I mean, these are sort of interesting, just kind of picturing where he was sitting. Like, this was probably shared by a few people. Like right there, it says his name on there. I mean, he actually had this position where he was, a respected person. He just absolutely threw away, his entire life, really. I mean, but my God, it's like he had a chance to do something, and his urges to kill were so great. I don't know if that's his desk there, but seems like they keep filming this one over here, more so than the others. Wait, does that have his... So this whole office is his, I guess, because it says his name on there. So I guess he was the head person in there? I'm not really sure how it worked. I don't know, I bet you he didn't type it, he didn't write "take it easy." Brian something. What's over there? What language is that? Brian, this is Kohberger. Maybe that girl was writing in another language, the one that liked him, the Korean girl. And maybe she was writing like his last name, and then, Brian is written like that, and then Kohberger is written like this. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Yep, we're on 669. Wonder what they crossed out there. Gender, nature, and nurture. And now we're back to the house where they're showing parts of the vehicles outside. I don't think there's any relevance at all to the vehicles outside. I've said that before. If you can think of something, let me know. But I just, at this point, there's absolutely meaningless. Kohberger did not go into any of the vehicles. He had nothing to do with the people in the house that were killed. Even the victims that survived, which is Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen, they have nothing to do with Kohberger and the event. So for me, it's just like, you know, you got these YouTubers out there spending all this time looking at the gear shifts and everything, pretending there's something else. And I think that's probably one of the more disturbing elements of the people that are covering this in true crime, that are pretending that Kohberger is innocent still by talking about absolutely irrelevant information. All right. Well, I hope you guys found that interesting. At least you got to see inside the house. I gave you my thoughts. I don't think he has OCD whatsoever. I think it's a complete con job to try to sell the fact that he was in the kitchen separating the trash. He's got to maintain that even now, because if it ever, you know, some miracle gets another shot at something, he can say, see, I had OCD, you know. So he's going to keep pulling off that ruse as long as he can. All right, and we found out, you know, the Arboretum had absolutely nothing to do with anything. That was not blood. Of course, the pro-burgers will say that's a cover-up, and it really was blood. That's just the way they are. So anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. Really appreciate it. Share the video. Like the video as well. That would be very helpful. And we'll see you guys next time. And as I always say, until that next time, be safe out there.